Hello and welcome, one and all, to this, the first in a series of conversation on this International Women's Day, which we hope will inspire you to join us as we attempt to tackle seemingly one of the last great taboos in female conversation, and that's money. In fact, I think it's safe to say that we're more likely to sit down and discuss our private lives, our sex lives even, than we are to open up about the state of our financial well-being. And I want to know, why is that? And just think how different women's lives would be if, for example, we gave our financial selves the same attention we give to our physical selves or our mental well-being. In fact, put this another way, if we gave our finances and our financial selves the same thought and attention and resources as men, that would be a difference of £350 billion to the UK economy. Staggering. So, why don't we go there when it comes to talking about money? After all, we need it, we rely on it to get us through life, and we spend most of our lives earning it or going to work in order to earn it. So, why can't we just sit down and open up about it? Well, today we're going to. And joining me are three friends from Sheffield: Misbah, Husnara, and Janet. They all have a combined love of food and cooking. They've met through family connections and through work. And today they're going to start saying the unsayable, and they're going to talk money with me. I've got three friends on the line. I've got Misbah, Hus, and Janet. You
Yep.
all live in Sheffield. And you guys have got loads of shared passions. You've known each other for a long, long time. Your passion is baking and food, but your friendship extends beyond that. So tell me
Yeah.
a little bit about yourselves, ladies.
I can start first, can I?
Go on, Janet. Go on,
Well,
Janet.
it's going to be a long story because I'm very old. If you're talking about money, I've never been as well off. It's not the pink pound now, it's the pensioners' pound.
Really?
Yeah. And my pensions are just coming in, aren't they? Exactly the same. I
But
don't.
that's Janet because you saved for one.
But, yeah, but I've also got my private pension. That's correct.
Now, so what I've got is a 70 years young woman this year who's got a packed social life pre-pandemic, has managed to secure herself a couple of pensions, so you're all right financially at the minute. But I know that hasn't always been the case, Janet, because you had to start over at the age of 50.
I'd nothing.
You had nothing at 50.
Nothing. I couldn't even pay a taxi fare home from the station to my mum's.
You know, is that because you left your marriage?
Yeah, yeah. I foolishly went to live abroad. We sold the house. He was doing nothing. He wanted to be a magician. And then I said, I'm going to get a flight and go see kids. And he says, there's no money in bank account. And I'd had enough. So I've got no money in bank, no job that I'd started. So we went round, we saw a lovely little terrace, and we went in, and this couple showed us round, and I made them an offer on it, even though I hadn't got a job, and they accepted it. So a estate agent rang me up and said, "Oh, they want you to have it." So I said, "Well, I've got a problem," and I told him, and he said, "Have you ever had a bank account that's been never been in the red?" And I said, "Well, I've got one at Yorkshire Bank since I was 13, but I've got about £1.50 in it." And they got me a mortgage.
Wow.
And then one of my friends knew a guy who'd been a Mexican guy who'd been at university. So he rented me attic, and that paid for all my brown goods and that, on 10-month interest free. And then my mum's neighbour said his house coming for sale across road. No, it were a lovely, lovely house, isn't it, us? And so I made an offer on that, and it's somebody I've known from childhood. And within a year, I made £40,000 on a house that I'd bought a year before.
Yes, Janet, you legend.
And then at Virgin, there was a savings scheme, and I was supposed to be retiring at 60. But if I'd have come out of the savings scheme, it was for 3 years, they'd have only given me back what I paid in. But because I stayed till it matured, which was 61 and a half, then I got three times that. I ended up with about 28 grand. But in the interim period, yeah, we haven't heard best yet.
Go on.
They were making us redundant, weren't they, us? And they were coming down from head office and saying to me, I'd been there, 15 years, so something like that, 10 years or something like that. And I were on top white because I'd worked my way up. And they kept saying, you'll not get your redundancy, you're retiring, so you'll not get redundancy. And one of the guys, happened to be our MD. So I rang him up and I went berserk and I said, I've been giving my all to this company and I can't have my redundancy. And he said, Janet, keep quiet and you'll get it. So then I got another 20 odd grand and redundancy. So I'm all right, Jack.
Do you know what? Do you know what though, Janet? You've done that. You've done that in 19 years with your back to the wall, no money to build any kind. You had no capital to build on. So you are living proof, a walking, talking, fine example of the fact that you can do it when you put your mind to it, even with your hands tied behind your back. So, girls, I can see you. I can see Miz and Hus just going, and you love Janet. I can feel that. I know that she's very dear to you. I can sense it. Tell me about how you all became friends, and you're nodding along furiously there. You obviously agree with so much of what she said, and are so proud of what she's been through.
I met Husnara because she's actually best friends with my little sister-in-law. But we've grown really, really close over the last couple of years. And she was actually one of my very first customers when I officially set up my business last year.
I'm loving your business. I want to hear more about this because I know. Talk to me from the beginning because I'm loving you on a journey realizing your personal and professional ambitions.
Okay, so always enjoyed baking, always enjoyed cooking. My mum was a brilliant, 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 and I'm not just saying that because she's my mum. Like my in-laws say it that she was the best cook that they've ever known. But she never used to bake like English desserts and stuff because she came from Pakistan and so did my dad. And I only kind of realised about baking when I started in school, obviously, when you do your GCSE lessons and food tech and whatever. And so mum kind of just left me to it. Fast forward a few years, I'm the go-to baker in the family for cakes and cupcakes and whatever. And it was actually my little sister-in-law, who's Nara's best friend, that said to me a few years ago, you need to start selling your cakes. And I just looked at her and I went, who's going to buy my crap? Kind of thing. She goes, no, you're really good. You need to start selling. So I thought, right, okay, let's just do it. Because if I don't do it now, I'll never do it. Registered with the council, got all my flyers done, started talking about getting my website done. And the week that I announced, right, Misbah Makes is official, that was the week when all the flights were getting cancelled because of the pandemic.
Oh, so we've all been. So you literally ended up launching a
Yeah.
business in lockdown, effectively.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Miz, it's working,
Yeah.
isn't it?
It is. I started off because I thought, right, what can I do? Because if people can't come to the door and we can't have social contact and whatever, what can I do? Then there's a couple of ladies that I'm following on Instagram, and their main point of sale is postal bakes, so brownies, scones, biscuits. Just relying on postal stuff, and the brownies were just flying out the door. And my main thing obviously is custom cakes and celebration cakes and novelty cakes. And I've had like one or two in between, but now I think as lockdowns ease, the cakes are coming back in. So I'm in full flow. And I've got a couple of orders for next week. So yeah, it's getting there. Yeah, it's getting there.
Tell me about your first employee. Who's that?
My husband.
Yes, family affair.
Yes. Because again, the issue I had with my husband was that he's a taxi driver, so private hire. Now, the company that he works for, the last couple of years, business has slowed down quite a bit because they're quite a big firm and there's not enough work to go around. Then, with the pandemic, obviously, everything just kind of ground to a halt. He's also he's asthmatic and he's a heart patient. So with the incident with the pandemic hitting, it was like, okay, he can't work, it's not safe for him to go out and be with the public and whatever. Business has pretty much died on its feet anyway when it comes to private hire. So I literally said to him, I said, look, let me take the reins a bit. You've done it for 20 years. You know, you've been amazing. He's never stopped me from working. He's so different from a typical Asian man. Like he'll help with the housework, he'll help with the cooking, the click, everything. So then I said to him, okay, then if I'm doing that, and because he helps with all the admin and delivering stuff to customers now that deliveries have picked up a bit, I said, look, why don't I put you down as an employee? Then that way it might work out better for us, because with the tax and the benefits that I can get for you being an employee, there are benefits on that side as well. And he was like, yeah, go for it. Why not? So he's my employee.
I love it. I love it. And Huss, I know you were really a major cheerleader in all of this, weren't you?
Oh, yeah.
How and you met Janet through work.
Yes.
So what's your so Huss, you're like the connector. You're the
I
one that
am.
kind of puts everyone together.
Yeah, 100%. We both.
And do you
crazy.
still work at Virgin, Huss?
No, I was made redundant at the same time as Janet. So rewind. So me and Janet worked at Virgin Media. So I went from another side of Virgin and I moved over to business. And Janet was literally mum. She was work mum. She looked after me, but then she'd tell me off when I was going a bit OTT. But she was always my supporter. Um, I could tell her anything, and she wouldn't even judge me in any way, shape, or form. Considering basically I'm coming from a Muslim and an Asian heritage, there was always that whole stigma and stereotypes around Asian women working in general. So there was a lot of questions raised, and Janet always honestly asked me so many questions about my culture, about my religion, what can't I do, and she was really. I hope her eyes has been opened a little bit more, and she understands how different we all are.
And a lot of the questions are like, oh, but how is it that your husband lets you work? Aren't Muslim women supposed to sit at home and not allowed to work? Well, actually, no, because in the Quran and in Islam actually specify a woman, what she earns is hers. What the husband earns belongs to the woman. The woman does not have to spend a penny. No, no. So we always have this running joke. So whenever the kids want anything, the husband's running joke is, go ask your mother, because it's your mother's money, not mine.
And do you know what I'm
Yeah.
hearing from all three of you is nothing is off limits when it comes to your conversation.
Oh, no.
You will
no.
talk about anything and everything, the good times, the bad times, the frustrations. But tell me, how often do you talk about money?
I think this is the first. I think this is the first time we've ever spoke about money, isn't it? We never spoke about money. Did I tell you how much I got? I didn't know if I told you or not.
No, I didn't want to know. That's like none of my business.
You don't, do you?
No, not
No,
really.
but you know what, Janet? When you did tell us, what was our reaction? All
Brilliant,
of us.
yeah.
Hey, go on, Janet.
Wow.
I've always been a supporter.
Yeah.
So why don't we talk about it? Because it's not like I just don't understand why.
I think it's like Husnara said, oh, it's none of my business, oh, it's private. I can't,
But you know what? You need money to get through life. You just do. Like
Yeah.
it facilitates everything, and I just don't. And actually, I think men talk about it far more openly. And there's some you heard the statistics that I gave you when we first started talking.
Yeah.
The average 65-year-old woman, her pension pot is 1/5 of the size of a man's.
What the guys is, yeah.
Why though? The question is why.
I lived abroad in Tenerife for 6 or 7 years, and whilst we were there, obviously I wasn't paying into the pension scheme, but you could send money back and buy your pension, but only up to 3 years. So if I'd have been out of the country 4 years, I could have come back and bought my pension, but I'd lost a year. But I've paid every year. So consequently, I've got a very good, what I consider to be a very good government pension. So I've just had a 4 pound pay rise.
Yeah, but you thought hard about it, considering your situation and what you were left with. It was make or break for you.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, because I think that's the other thing. It's not something, I don't think we take it serious enough. We don't look at, because again, with my husband, every day he checks and this and he works it out and he checks what's going out, what's coming in, and he lets me. But again, when it comes to friends and stuff, I think, again, going back to when I set the business up. So at first I was like, with friends, for example, Husnara was the first customer, she paid, not an issue, whatever. But with a lot of friends, I was like, oh, no, it's fine, you don't have to pay me, kind of thing. And then she was one of them. Yeah, she was like, are you bloody stupid, giving away free? Doesn't matter that they're friends. You need the money because you've set up a business. Don't be afraid to say, no, this is how much it is. What's your budget? This is what I can do for
Exactly,
you,
Liz, because you don't
kind
walk
of
into
thing.
like, the supermarket and say, "Oh, I'm making a
No.
cake for friends. It's all right if I just grab some stuff and don't pay for it."
Yeah.
It costs
Yeah.
you, so
Yeah.
there are costs involved.
Yeah.
But you've just said, the three of you, you've never sat down and talked about money with each other. So I think we can all agree that we
No.
think about money a lot. It's something that
Yeah.
occupies our thoughts endlessly, but we
Yeah.
don't talk about it. And do you have a financial ambition for yourself? Do you have a financial future planned for you away from your family, your husband?
You know what? I've never given it an actual second thought, and that's really bad. Listening to Janet and her story, and you think, she's thought about it, she made those decisions, and maybe because push came to shove, and she had to make the decision there and then. But I've never like given it a second thought. But again, going back to my husband, he's always talking about this needs to be done, that needs to be done by next year, because obviously with where we are now in our property, there's still a mortgage on it. And he's constantly harping on about we need to sort the mortgage out, get it paid off, then we can, move on to something else, and we'll be better off. But I'm
You've
really
just
bad
heard
at it.
Janet say she had to start over at 50, and now she is
Yeah.
able to live, a life where she can do what she
Yeah.
wants with a gin and tonic at the end of the day because she's
Yeah.
invested in herself. Have
Yeah.
you done the same? Do you have pensions? Do you have a financial pot that's just for you?
I've got so with me setting up the business, because we've got a joint account, so obviously all the bills go in there, and then we've got a savings account. So again, it was actually my husband that said, look, if you're doing this properly, you need a separate account. So you've got everything financially separate for the business, and you've got your own bit of money, and you're saving something separate for yourself. Yes, we join everything together and we share our money, and we're not, like we're not tight like that all my money's, and you're not having this and whatever. But you need to have a set goal of what you're saving per year. Then you can work out from that what you want to aim with that money. Are we buying another property? Are we going to invest it in stocks and shares, or what are we doing with it? What do you want to do with it? But again, I've never like sat down and physically written it down that, look, these are my goals, and it is really bad. And I think, again, like you said, it needs to be talked about.
See, I'm different. See, my property is my own. So when I bought my house, I didn't buy it with my husband. I bought it myself. So I worked hard, worked every hours that you can think of to save up for a down payment. Then put my name through the new bill scheme where you get the government helped you with the mortgage. So I put myself forward, got the mortgage under my name. With this property, if I pay it out, that covers my pension, hopefully. Fingers crossed, touch wood. That's the plan. So, and you know what? I was actually ideally going to sell the property and put the money towards the new house. But then my friend talked me out of it and says, are you silly? No, the way the rate's going at the minute, you're not going to have a pension. And I said, well, I've got a private pension and I've got the NHS pension at the same time, but that might not cover me to have a comfortable life. My kids are getting older, so they might want a property of their own, and I've got to think ahead. So that's the plan anyway. If it goes to plan,
So you've got a plan. But what I'm loving, I mean, I'm so thrilled that you've got a plan, Huss, and you are ahead of yourself. You're ahead of the curve. You're thinking that, about what lies ahead. But it's sounding to me like you've never shared this with either of your two best girlfriends.
but that's the thing. It's not a conversation. Like, right, I'm doing this. What do you think? We talk about other things.
Everything else is on the card, yeah, to talk about. But no, it's really shocking, isn't it, that you just don't. It's like when we don't talk about life insurance or death, it just doesn't get brought up, but it
Mm.
needs to. It's just one of those things that needs to be talked about, and money is the second biggest thing. It just doesn't. And I've never, like Husnara said, I've never been the type to go and ask my friend for advice, or I've never asked Husnara for advice. I've never spoke to Janet about it. Listening to Janet, I think, wow,
Yeah,
you know,
you're looking at Janet through new eyes now, aren't you?
The thing is, anybody could end up like I did, because I had a detached house, own business, and everything, and it all went. And if I'd have been on one of these married women's pensions, they used to have married women's pension, and I would have been getting nothing. I'd have been in a state, yeah, yeah. But it's just because I had a private pension The only thing I was going to say is the only way I got back on the property ladder was because when I was younger, I had a private pension, and because I was 50, I could get so much out of it to put a deposit. So if I hadn't done that in my 20s, I would never have been on property ladder, or I would never have been in this position because I've no mortgage or anything now. I've got my own house and everything's hunky dory.
Girls, let me ask you this question. Do you know how much you are worth independently?
Yes,
Like separate of your husband's? Do you know what?
No.
Do you know your worth? Hus, yes. Janet, yes. Miss, no.
As in financially or just generally? No. I've never like sat down and looked at it and worked it out.
Yeah, me, because my income, what I earn comes in my pocket. What he earns comes in my pocket. So yeah,
That, yeah, okay, if we're talking about that, yeah, that I know. That I know.
what I earn, I have a separate bank account. I don't have a joint one. My sister, she has a joint bank account. I refuse to have a joint bank account because whatever I come in, I can work out exactly. He's terrible with money, so I know I can control it. I'm a bit of a control freak in that sense. I need to know what comes in, what comes out, and what I can put aside.
Have you got enough set aside to live the life you want to live once you retire?
Not now, no.
Are you on the path to achieving that?
Hopefully, yes.
That's the plan.
Mrs. Like that. Baking, baking.
Oh, but
Yes. Yes. Literally.
baking queen. See, I wouldn't bake if I didn't meet her.
Well, yeah. You see, you've got. See, what I'd love for you to take away from this, Miss, is that you have invested in your business, right? You've made a massive. You've taken a risk, and you've invested in. By investing in your business, you've invested in yourself because you are your business.
Yeah, my goal ultimately, my dream would be to have like my own little tea room kind of thing. And we were looking at a couple of properties just before the pandemic hit, so that's kind of halted things. But at the moment, because obviously my kids are young and I'm working from home, I can suit my own hours and that kind of thing. So I'm hoping slowly I'll build it up, and then by the time they're a little bit older, I'll have a property by then of my own. This mortgage will be paid off, because we have got a bit of a backstory going on with an issue of my mum's property that is in my name, and we are currently dividing our assets. That's causing a bit of war between siblings and half siblings and whatever. But hopefully, if I get my share from that property, this will then be freehold and paid off, and we'll have enough money to buy another property which we can rent out or move, or just set aside, like I said, as a nest egg.
If you could invest in yourself, would you? To the tune of what? Like, talk to me about what you would give to you as an investment. What would it do? How would it transform your life? Because that ultimately becomes your financial goal for you.
For me, okay, first off, this house needs to be paid off. And I would just, for me, it's never been about materialistic things. I just want enough money where I'm comfortable and I'm surviving, and do things like, I don't know, go to the cinema or go for a night out with the girls, a holiday once or twice a year, because again, we don't even go on holiday once a year at the moment, with the pandemic and whatever, with us self-employed, just to live comfortably, really. It's not, I want a family and I want the friendship, and my circle of family and friends is very small, but it's a very secure one. And again, the age ranges from Janet to Husnara to 16, 17 year olds, and that's my goal to be fulfilled in life. And again, I think that's why one of the reasons probably why I've never really talked much about money with my girlfriends, because to me it's not the be all and end all. As long as I've got a roof over my head, I've got 3 meals a day, and I've got family and friends in my life. That's the
Janet, maybe you could kick off. This is my final question to you all. If you could have a word with your 18-year-old self about the way you work the way you manage your money, you work your money, and the way you invest in yourself, what would you go back and say to your 18-year-old self?
I would have carried on with my pension. I would never have gone to live abroad, although I enjoyed it. I would have tried to be a bit more independent. And when I was living in England, we'd got his own property, his own business, and he always wanted the biggest, blackest car and the best televisions and the best of everything he wanted. And I used to say, I never used to bother looking at the bank account. I used to say, can we afford it? And he'd say, yeah. And I'd say, well, get it then. And we used to have 4 holidays a year, and we would no money worries. But then it all went, didn't it?
But you did. You did. You just didn't know. Yeah.
Sort of acquiescing that the male is in charge of the finances, because I think life has changed a lot since I was 18. Then I would have been a lot more savvy and a lot more in tune with what was happening with my finances. So I should have been a lot more interested in it, rather than saying, oh, you're the guy, you know what you're doing, and carry on with it.
Own it. Yeah. Like Hus has, she's not even let her husband get in on the mortgage deeds. Girls, thank you so much for opening up and sharing so much with me today, because I've really asked you to
Yeah.
clearly
Thank
go to
you.
places you've never been before. Tell me, what have you realised at the end of this conversation? What are the kind of major learnings for you?
There's no shame in talking to your girlfriends about money, because with your podcast, I've actually watched a few. So when you were talking to, I think, is it All Saints, and when you had Angela Griffin on, and how they're all talking about your tight friends, but you come out with so many different revelations. Now, I've known Husnara for 21 years, and I did not know that her property is her property.
There you go.
You learn so much about your friends.
And you know what? All we've done is ask the right questions.
Yeah.
And do you feel like, how does it make you feel to discuss this? Does it feel awkward, or did it feel quite comfortable?
No, I think it should be a sense of empowerment. You should feel empowered.
Because do you know what? You've all got so many reasons to be proud of yourselves. And I don't know why you wouldn't share that, because if you went and ran a marathon, you'd tell everybody. You go, look what I've achieved. Because that's an acceptable achievement. It's not seen as be showy. But maybe
I finally shared it yesterday, because I only just realized, because yesterday is 11 years since my mum passed away. But a year ago yesterday, I officially set up the business. So I shared it and I applauded myself for the first time ever.
there you go. But you're all incredible. You're doing your thing your way. Nobody's giving it to you. You're working so hard for it.
No.
You are inspiring. Turn the volume up. Share that, because for your kids and for your nieces and all of the kids that you babysit, Janet, in order to be it, they've got to see it, and it's right in front of them. You're there. You're so visible. Just open your mouth and share. I hope you go away now feeling like one of the founder members of the Spice Girls.
Oh,
Fabulous
yeah.
and Girl Power.
yes.
Lord, I wish I was a little bit younger and knew what I know now. My God, what a life I'd have.
Indeed.
I love your friendship.
I do.
I really love your friendship, and like you, Hus and Miss, I have friends that are of a similar age to Janet, and Janet, those friends have friendships with me and women younger, and I think there's real power in that as well, because we share our life experiences. It's cross-generational learning, but it's also supporting, and if we don't do that, that's so much knowledge that remains unshared, and therefore, do you know what? Please just keep talking about money, because
We will.
It's all about your achievements, and when you don't share the money, you don't share the achievements, and you've got so much to be proud of.
Yeah.
So if you've been inspired by today's chat and want to get involved, want to get yourselves financially fit, then come. We'd love to have you. All you need to do is follow us at _YesSheCan. That's _YesSheCan. And all the information is there. Because yes, you can.